Well, good afternoon and welcome. On behalf of National Security Advisor Sullivan and myself, I want to welcome Director Yang, State Councilor Wang, to Alaska, and thank you very much for making the journey to meet with us. I've just returned myself from meetings with Secretary of Defense Austin and our counterparts in Japan and the Republic of Korea, two of our nation's closest allies. They were very interested in the discussions that we'll have here today and tomorrow, because the issues that we'll raise are relevant not only to China and the United States, but to others across the region and indeed around the world. Our administration is committed to leading with diplomacy, to advance the interests of the United States, and to strengthen the rules-based international order. That system is not an abstraction. It helps countries resolve differences peacefully, coordinate multilateral efforts effectively, and participate in global commerce with the assurance that everyone is following the same rules. The alternative to a rules-based order is a world in which might makes right and winners take all, and that would be a far more violent and unstable world for all of us. Today, we'll have an opportunity to discuss key priorities, both domestic and global, so that China can better understand our administration's intentions and approach. We'll also discuss our deep concerns with actions by China, including in Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan, cyber attacks on the United States, economic coercion toward our allies. Each of these actions threaten the rules-based order that maintains global stability. That's why they're not merely internal matters and why we feel an obligation to raise these issues here today. I've said that the United States relationship with China will be competitive where it should be, collaborative where it can be, adversarial where it must be. Our discussions here in Alaska, I suspect, will run the gamut. Our intent is to be direct about our concerns, direct about our priorities, with the goal of a more clear-eyed relationship between our countries moving forward. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and welcome to Director Yang and State Councilor Wang. It's fitting that we're meeting here in Alaska. We may be far from the continental United States, but there are a few places that are as quintessentially American. Big-hearted, resilient, intrepid. This is truly a fitting place for us to host this meeting. Secretary Blinken and I are proud of the story about America we're able to tell here, about a country that under President Biden's leadership has made major strides to control the pandemic, to rescue our economy, and to affirm the strength and staying power of our democracy. We're particularly proud of the work that we've done to revitalize our alliances and partnerships, the foundation of our foreign policy. Just last week, President Biden hosted the Quad Leaders Summit that spoke to the can-do spirit of the world's democracies and committed to realize the vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. It is through partnerships like these that all of us can deliver progress and prosperity for our peoples. Secretary Blinken laid out many of the areas of concern, from economic and military coercion to assaults on basic values, that we'll discuss with you today and in the days ahead. We'll do so frankly, directly, and with clarity. These are the concerns that are on the minds of the American people. But it goes beyond that. We've heard each of these concerns from around the world, from our allies and partners and the broader international community during the intensive consultations we've undertaken these last 2 months. We'll make clear today that our overriding priority on the United States' side is to ensure that our approach in the world and our approach to China benefits the American people and protects the interests of our allies and partners. We do not seek conflict, but we welcome stiff competition, and we will always stand up for our principles, for our people, and for our friends. We look forward to discussing all of these matters with you in the hours ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Director, State Councilor, given your extended remarks, permit me please to add just a few of my own before we get down to work, and I know Mr. Sullivan may have a few things to say as well. I have to tell you, in my short time as Secretary of State, I've spoken to, I think, nearly 100 counterparts from around the world. And I just made my first trip, as I noted, to Japan and South Korea. I have to tell you, what I'm hearing is very different from what you described. I'm hearing deep satisfaction that the United States is back, that we're re-engaged with our allies and partners. I'm also hearing deep concern about some of the actions your government is taking. And we'll have an opportunity to discuss those when we get down to work. A hallmark of our leadership, of our engagement in the world, is our alliances and our partnerships that have been built on a totally voluntary basis. And it is something that President Biden is committed to reinvigorating and strengthening. And there's one more hallmark of our leadership here at home, and that's a constant quest to, as we say, form a more perfect union. And that quest, by definition, acknowledges our imperfections, acknowledges that we're not perfect. We make mistakes. We have reversals. We take steps back. But what we've done throughout our history is to confront those challenges openly, publicly, transparently, not trying to ignore them, not trying to pretend they don't exist, not trying to sweep them under a rug. And sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's ugly, but each and every time we've come out stronger, better, more united as a country. I recall well when President Biden was vice president and we were visiting China, and this was in the wake of the financial crisis. There was much discussion then, including with then Vice President Xi Jinping. And Vice President Biden at the time said, it's never a good bet to bet against America. And that remains true today.
Just briefly to add to what Secretary Blinken has said, because I was actually going to make the same point without us even consulting. A confident country is able to look hard at its own shortcomings and constantly seek to improve. And that is the secret sauce of America. The other secret sauce of America is that our people are a problem-solving people, and we believe that we solve problems best when we work together with allies and partners around the world. Just a couple of weeks ago, the United States landed another rover on Mars. And it wasn't just an American project. It had technology from multiple countries, from Europe and other parts of the world. And it is also going to leave behind a collection of material from Mars that the United States and Europe will build a device that can fly there to pick it up and bring it back. That is what can be accomplished by a country that is constantly reinventing itself, working closely with others, and seeking constantly to produce the kind of progress that benefits all, that is rooted in a concept of human dignity and human rights that is truly universal, that every man, woman, and child in this world aspires to. So we look forward to the conversation today, but I do hope this conversation will be one carried out with confidence on both sides. So it's not lectures or long, winding statements. It's the opportunity for us to explain where we're coming from, to hear where you are coming from, and to indicate at bottom what our principles, our priorities, and our long-term strategies are. That's what we hope for in the dialogue that lies ahead. That is the spirit with which we approach this, and we look forward to continuing the discussion today. Thank you, everybody.